chain. So what my product is more of a chain treatment. That's more of what a better description of it. What it does is it lubricates the chain, but it also becomes part of the chain. So you don't ever have to strip it again. That was basically goal number one, was to never have to do that again. And stay clean and quiet and have an awesome ride the whole length of your ride, however long it is. I can do up to about 7 hours of testing. I did that many days, 7 hours on the bike. Whether that resulted in 100 miles or 50 miles depended on what I was doing. If I was doing a mountain bike uphill in the dirt, it was, less miles. But on a road bike, I can do 100 miles in less than 7 hours. So that's what I did. I developed it for my needs. So as a result, the testing that I came up with for my product is completely different than what I understand other testing is. I've seen like the muck off test. They have a test on a bench with a... This is a little clip from my Chainwax vlog number 1. I'll leave a link in the description. This sort of goes over the whole reason my product exists in the first place. And I think it's a good place to start if you've just stumbled upon my podcast here. So I'll leave a link, and basically we'll talk about the way they test chains and test, for duration and all these different things. They don't really specify torque numbers, what kind of torques are being applied, or in what's a good word for this? A bicycle chain on a mountain bike going up a hill is not a steady torque rating. It is going through a pulsing action. There's a lot of things going on, and all of this stuff contributes to the real world situation of what a chain goes through. I don't see any testing machines that come close to that yet, and certainly not somebody on a road bike on a trainer just doing an endurance test of a one application lube. So I'll go through all this in my Chainwax vlog number 1, 2, and 3. Kind of covers it all. So this is just a little trailer to get you back there if you're new. I got a lot of new subscribers in the last week. And I don't know if anybody has seen this yet, because these really cover where it started and why the product exists in the first place, and why it's different, and why this is the best choice for not only for your mountain bike and gravel bike, but these products work exceptionally well on a road bike. I did sponsor the Plant Power Racing team for a few years, and those are the fastest kids here in LA, Malibu area, training every day in the hills out here. And they gave me some really good ideas of the endurance the product would go through. Here's David using the original Smooth Lube topper formula in Switzerland. I believe he's in Switzerland here in the Alps. And this is while I was developing 5311. So some pictures he sent me of going to Switzerland and training. How nice is that? Like I said, these kids were the fastest kids in town. One of them won the Hill Climb World Championships out here when they still had that in Santa Barbara. And they're always podium in all the races they attend. They helped me with their feedback on this original top-off formula, which became the ditch the crock pot formula of Lubenschleiden, and then 5311 was ultimately the road bike version, which I use on all my bikes now. That would be the Smooth Lube 5311 that we're talking about here. I just put up an image. I know a lot of people just listen, so I'm trying to get some images for you to look at, but this is a podcast, and I'm not the best technical guy. I'm just doing this stuff from my phone. So you can see here one of the original labels. It was called the Road Bike Race Formula, but I've retitled it now. Here's the original label. It says Road Bike and TT Bike Specific, because I designed it actually for my TT bike. That's really what I wanted for. I wanted a fast racing chain lube because I was going to start competing on time trials, and unfortunately I had another injury, and there went my 4 years of training down the tubes. and I've just not been able to get back the hours out there to get back into racing shape like I was in 2018 and 2019. But you can see here it was called Road Bike Race Formula. I'll see if I can find a better label. And now the new labels say Mountain Bike and Road Bike Race Formula, because it truly is. We're sticking with the 5311 name, even though that's a road bike reference. I don't think most mountain bikers know that. Maybe. I know probably half of them do. But that's what it was developed for, and so what happened is that I had been working with this exclusively on my road bikes and time trial bike out on the long empty roads in Fillmore with all the avocado trees and orange trees and whatnot. And I was doing hours and hours of testing, going up Grimes Canyon and Balcom Canyon, and that's where I did most of the road bike testing out there, day-to-day testing. And so anyway, when I got it to the original road bike race formula, I was using it just on my road bikes for months. One day I decided to put it on my XC bike, which would be this bike right here. I still have it. This is my Yeti SB 100. It's 23 pounds. We built it up to 23 pounds. I think it was 23 pounds 5 ounces is what it originally was built up to. And I've sort of put bigger tires on it since then. Just got a bigger rear tire and a few changes that make it probably more like 24 pounds now. But it's a very fun bike. So one day I decided to put the 5311 on my XC bike, and riding all day in the dust and stuff, and it was just as quiet. In fact, it was even quieter than the original Lubenschleiden. So I did some modifications to the original Lubenschleiden at some point to help with the quietness, and now that original formula. This is the original Lubenschleiden bike park formula. It says handcrafted chain lube, made in USA. This was my first product to eliminate the need for a crock pot entirely. So this is 2019. This was in development during the Sea Otter show. I didn't debut it at Sea Otter. I just debuted the original formula here. I just debuted the original formula at Sea Otter as a wax drivetrain top-off formula, which now you have products like Silka's top-off. It's called Super Secret or something like that. And I think Ceramic Speed has their UFO drip. Well, they didn't even have any products on the market back then. And this was what they saw at my booth, and this is what they've tried to mimic since then. A few modifications have happened to this since then. Let me think. I've got some extra stuff in there now, which does not take away from the original properties, but it does add a little more longevity to it. So if you're using it as a top-off formula, you're going to get a lot of miles. If you're still wax dipping chains and use this as a top-off formula, you're going to get more miles out of it. But right now, we're using this now as the chain prep formula. So it's been modified to be really good at doing the chain prep formula as well. And then we also use it on cables and squeaks on the bike, road cleats, around the house, padlocks, combination locks, doorknobs. The keyhole in your old car works great. It's waterproof, doesn't wash off like graphite powder. When you put that in a keyhole, it lasts as long as it doesn't get wet. This lasts for a long time, like at least a year per application on a door lock or keyhole. So my point of saying all this is that when you buy this as your chain prep formula, it might sit around for a long time, because once you start using my product, your chain's going to last 3 years or more, if not 5. I mean, I only go 3 years on a chain just out of safety's sake. By the time 3 years have come up and passed, that next season, going into season number 4, I put a new chain on for 2 reasons. It's new and fresh. I know it's going to break under all the torque it's been through, but I also want to test the new round of products as well. Like last time I put a chain on, we were doing endurance tests on Uber Clear and the Darkmatter. So I put chains on my XC bike and my 2 trail bikes, and that was in let me think about this. I suppose that was 2023. So I'm 2 years into those chains now, and they still have almost no wear on them at all. I wish I could jump out there and show you with the gauge. I'll do that at a future one, but I'll show you my 2 years on these bikes, all three bikes, and the chain wear is almost nothing. So this is what the original line was before the e-bike formulas. You had the Smooth Lube Original, you had the Lubenschleiden, which is the black bottle. Then you had the Formula 1.2, which is your everyday lube for most people, like all your kids' bikes. You don't need to put a racing lube on your kids' bikes. Unless he's racing BMX, you might want to use the 5311. All of them are good. They're all going to perform very well, especially for like BMX races and TT bike races. Those are short duration races. Even time trials is a very short race. These products all do well. And then the 5311 is developed to go all day, 7 hours rides. I used to do about 100 miles on those 7-hour rides to test this. And I've done 7-hour rides on my XC bike using the original formula here. I mean, the original Lubenschleiden bike park formula. So I did, after the last upgrade, we did 7-hour testing, which resulted in about 67 miles of XC riding. And I did that back-to-back days and then a couple times throughout the year to get different weather conditions. So this stuff holds up. I mean, who's going to do 70 miles in the dirt every day? Not many people. So this has been tested under those same conditions that this one was tested, and it held up just as good. So you really can't go wrong. My phone seems to be freezing up here. You really can't go wrong, is I guess what I'm trying to say. Whichever one you choose based on the price point you want to try it out. I mean, they go up. The price goes from $12 to about $16 or $17 on this end. It's just, whatever you want to try. I would use this as the chain prep formula exclusively now, and then pick one of these three to start. That's what I would do. And if you have an e-bike, these are the two e-bike lubes. The 50, it's called, the one on the left is now called Darkmatter, and the one on the right is now called Uber Clear. So you can see my artist put the 5311 numbers in the middle there on the Darkmatter, because it was originally also for a non-e-bike application. It was designed to work with the 5311 as a supplement. That's why that's there. And coming up with labels is very time consuming and expensive, and we're just kind of going with it for now. I'd like to have labels that really explain in detail. It's just hard to fit everything on a label. It really is. It's a 4-inch piece of paper, and you can only put so much on there. But the Uber Clear, which was the gold label here, is also really good as a standalone choice. The difference about these two is that they're so heavy duty, you have to keep them warm. And if you're living in freezing temperatures, you have to keep them warm, all of them warm. So one way I do it is just keep the bottle in my pocket while I'm working on the bike or driving to the trailhead. Just, you can put it on the dash of your car with the heater on. You can put it next. I usually put it next to my coffee maker if I'm going to set up the bike right outside the door here. But if I forget to do all of that, and I'm just on the way to the trailhead with a cold bottle, I'll put it in my pocket or the dash of the car. It's usually pretty good with the heater on, the defroster on, just to get it up to like a room temperature. Now, if they ever freeze solid, just throw them in very hot tap water in the sink in a bowl for about a half hour. Shake it up. We're going into winter. A lot of people are going to be asking questions about that. So I'm putting that in here and there in vlogs and podcasts here to discuss it, because it doesn't take much to revive it. But if it does freeze solid, you have to get it really hot, like maybe like 150 degrees, 160 degrees for a while, enough to reactivate everything in there. And then shake it up. Let it cool down, put it on your chain. You can't destroy this product. You cannot do permanent damage to this product. Even leaving the cap off, you would do a similar thing, and you would add alcohol back to it. So maybe a few cc's at a time, like maybe 5 cc. I think, if my memory serves right, my little injectors are about 5 cc's. That might be, I'd say do half of that at first, shake it up, and then if it's still not there, add the other half. And then even another thing too, if the wax feels like it's really been neglected, like you left the cap off for a month, you could add a few drops of baby oil to it, or food grade mineral oil, or just mineral oil to help soften the wax back, because those things will naturally evaporate out of the wax if you leave it out, the cap off, for a long time. So just putting a little bit back will help, but it's usually the alcohol. Basically, the alcohol evaporates away and it'll skin over, and everything below it will be fine. So you're really just reviving that top part that got solid. Okay? It's very simple to work with. It's not asking anybody to become a full-time chemist, but it's sort of like just adding a little bit of it's like adding a little touch of water to a paint can to kind of make it more workable. Same kind of concept here. You can even use the little brush that comes with it to stir it around if that happens. But I think most people will not have that problem. I had a kid from Canada use it for racing, and he did fine with it. He was up in Canada, Vancouver. He wound up winning like the national title up there for his division, and he did well with it up there in the cold. We're talking really cold up in Canada. So as long as you keep the bottle warm for a while before you apply it, you're usually pretty good. And let's see. Here's where it all goes back to. I'm going to wrap it up here. This is me racing. Let's see. This was the NBL National. This was the Grand Nationals in Burbank Equestrian Center back in about 1984. And that's me. I'm so far ahead of everybody. You can't even see anybody behind me. So I won this race, but not the overall, unfortunately. I crashed in that turn right behind me. I did a huge slide out right on the main event. And I think Mikey King actually won that race. So this is a race that I was always head-to-head with him back in you guys know him as a very famous pro downhiller. So I think Mike King might have won that one. And we were running 1.5 rear tires on this race. For some reason, it seemed to be faster on this strange dirt we were on. This is an equestrian center. But anyway, that's me. That's where it all goes back. That's where it goes back to my racing experience. Just making the bike as fast as you possibly can was key to winning these things. And people in road bike racing are all about that now. The 5311 solves that problem. I think you're going to love it when you try it. You're going to feel it through your feet on the first ride. You're definitely going to feel it through the pedals almost immediately. And as it becomes seasoned in your chain, you're going to feel it even more and more. So start with 5311 try it for everything. It really does do almost everything you need to do. And if it's not enough, you can supplement it with the Darkmatter here. I don't think anybody's going to run into that problem. But this is definitely developed for the e-bike. So if you have e-bikes, which I think more than half the people out there these days are riding e-bikes. So start with your Darkmatter. You can use the Uber Clear to the left there. So the red and the gold label, Darkmatter and Uber Clear. This would be all you would need ever for your e-bikes, and prep the chain with the chain prep formula there. You can see we have the chain prep formula on the label now. Okay, so that's it. That's the product line. That's what we all need going into winter. Just pick what works for you, for what you're doing, what kind of bike you're on, and you're going to never need a crock pot. You're never going to need to spend $40 on a bag of wax or any of that stuff. And I heard that you're not even supposed to. I heard you only get a small amount of rides out of those bags. Like maybe something like 30 applications out of a $40-$50 bag of wax. Wow, that's like $1 something per ride. Sorry about that. I forgot to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. But yeah, what is it? $50 for a bag of wax? You only get 30 applications? That's crazy. That's a lot. That's a lot of money. So if you use my product, my bottles last. If you learn how to put it on appropriately, I have done this many, many times, counting how many rides I get out of a bottle. And out of the 5311, I was getting 30 rides out of a bottle on average. Sometimes more, sometimes 40. Depending on how long the ride is going to determine how much is removed from your chain during the riding process, how much gets shed off out of the rollers. So I was getting on average 30 rides per bottle, $15, $16 versus $50 bottle of wax, and taking the chain off and all that crockpot nonsense to have a stiff, slow chain until it breaks in, and all that shedding of all over the place, and your bike covered with wax. And it's just, I've covered that in some previous podcasts, but I'm going to link the podcast number 1 here. I think if you are new, you should listen to that one. It really tells the story. I just listened back for the first time since I did it, and it's like, oh yeah, it's really to the point there. Close it up here. All right, guys, thanks for listening. I will leave the links below, and hope to see you guys in the orders on my website. And leave me your testimonies. Once you've tried it, leave me a little feedback on just what you noticed, what was different. I'm sure everybody that rides often will be able to tell immediately the improvement, unlike any other product out there. Okay, thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great day, and get on your bike as fast as you can. Weekend's getting close. Halloween weekend is right around the corner. All right.